So pretty much nighttime fishing's been where we're catching most of our fish. Some days we do get some kite bites and a few normal bites during the day, but for the most part it's nighttime fishing, and we don't know when it's going to happen, guys. You know, we could scratch from the minute we get there till 2 in the morning. It could be 2 to 5 in the morning. We really don't know when it's going to happen, so you want to make sure you get a good nap on the way out. We got about 80 miles to go. Every night it's been getting a little bit better. I think the guys last night had between 20 and 40 fish a boat, so it's definitely getting better every night. We want to make sure we're fishing heavy gear, especially tonight, guys. There's going to be a swell out there, right? So fighting a 100-pound fish is bad enough. You put that swell on top of it. If you don't have the right gear, we're going to be stuck on one fish for a long time. So if you don't have the right gear, guys, what I'm showing you right here, you want to see Julian when I'm done. I have a bunch of setups upstairs, nice Shimano setups. You can rent one of those from us, but make sure you rent one if you don't have the right gear, guys, because what you're going to end up doing is slowing the whole program down. If you don't have the right gear, we're going to be stuck there watching you fight a fish for a long time, and that's not good, especially if there's only a 2-hour window to catch fish. So heavy gear, guys, we're fishing 100-pound Spectra, a nice 2-speed reel, a heavy rod, and your jigs. The best jigs, guys, has been about a 300-gram SK jig, something in this frame. Smaller the better. The more low profile, the better. Those big giant rip rollers, they get bites, but they're very hard to hook the fish this year. They're just nipping the lures, so it's hard to hook the fish. Those bigger lures aren't doing good. We want to make sure we got good hooks on our lures, guys. If you buy a lure from a shop that came stock with these thin wire hooks, you want to make sure you take these off, guys. These are not good hooks. You want to see Julian, you want to see Carson, but a thin wire hook like that's going to stretch out. So you want to make sure you got good beefy hooks on your lures. The ones on the SKs, the ones that come with, these ones are good, but these weird looking octopus ones, these ones aren't good. So please make sure you take them off, guys. They'll straighten out on fish. I think this is a 250. I would use a 300 gram, one size bigger than this because it's going to be a little windy tonight. We're fishing 200-pound fluoro. 200 pounds is important, guys. 150 pounds too light. 135 is too light. A lot of guys that fish that lighter line, they get chewed off. A lot of times you will catch a fish and this thing's just buried in its throat. Their teeth start nicking on the line. So 200 pound. I have this upstairs too. I got crimps upstairs. So if you don't have any of this, see these two, they'll get you set up. You don't need a lot either, like 3 foot, 2.5 foot, 200-pound fluoro leader. The good thing is, guys, if you rent a rod from us, the line's going to be marked every 100 feet, so you'll know where your lure's at. If you brought your own rod and your line's not marked, same thing. You're going to see the guys. We're going to take a Sharpie and we're going to mark your line every 100 feet. But we have to know where our lures are at, guys. Really important, because when I tell you where I see the fish, you want to make sure you're getting your lure to the fish. Another thing about fishing the lures, guys, remember we're fishing a giant sinker here. This is a big sinker pretty much. So we don't want to put slack in the line and we don't want to set the hook. So sometimes they eat the lure at night, they start swimming towards the boat. It's really important to pay attention to what's going on. The biggest way we lose fish on these lures is slack in our rod or setting the hook. So we get a bite, guys. Let's say I'm fishing. Julian, hold the lure. So let's say I'm dropping down. Walk back, I just don't want to hit anybody in the face. Let's say I'm dropping down, we stop the boat, I'm dropping down. So the whole time I'm ready to go. I'm not talking to my friends, my elbows aren't on the rail. Sometimes we drive for a long time between stops, guys, so you want to really take advantage. I'm dropping down, my lure stops or I feel some thump, I just put it in gear and I start winding right away. I start winding through the bite the whole time. Don't worry about your rod belt, don't worry if the fish came off, just for like 30 cranks, make sure you wind. Because they'll eat the lure and they swim to the boat, guys. And I don't think I've had a group this year that's done a good job at this. So there's no exceptions. It doesn't matter if you fish 20 times a year. Everybody's not very good at this. That's why I'm going over it very, very much. You got to put the reel in gear and wind. Don't worry about your rod belt once again. Just don't set the hook. You don't want to set the hook. What happens if you set the hook in the lure? Most people, actually all people, if they swing the rod up, they can't wind fast enough to keep up with the line coming down. So what's going to happen with this lure, most of the time, not all the times, it's going to fall out of the fish's mouth. Remember, this is a giant sinker, it's not just the hook. If you put slack in this lure, even when you're fighting the fish, we fought fish for an hour, and then you watch the guy put slack in his line, this lure will fall out sometimes. So really important, guys, we need to keep the line tight. If we're following our fish up the rail, we always have to keep the line tight. That's the most important thing about these lures. This is just imagine this being a 20-ounce torpedo sinker, that's what this is. So if you put slack in this, 80% of the time it's going to fall out of the fish's mouth. Following our lines is a big one too, guys. Following our jigs. Let's say our jig goes to the bow. We're always stepping right, following our lure. We're pretty much never going to be stuck in one place for more than about 2 seconds. So if you find yourself stuck in one place for more than 2 seconds, you're not following your line. We're always going to be following our line. You watch a crew member fish, he's really never going to be in one place for more than 2 seconds. He's consistently keeping his line in front of him. So if you find yourself stuck somewhere for about 10 seconds or more, you are not following your line, guys. Very, very important. You can mess up the whole entire thing by not following your line. Especially with these big 100-pound fish, they're doing giant circles. So if you have this much angle in your line, under the water it's probably this much, and a fish is doing big circles, he can wipe out 10 guys in one circle. So it's really simple to not tangle, guys. Very, very simple. If you follow your lines the whole time, you probably won't get in a tangle. If you decide to stay in one place and talk to your friend about tomorrow, you're probably gonna get in a tangle. Stay on top of your stuff, guys. The Spectra is expensive. Our tangles are getting so bad, one of these times, somebody's gonna get a bite in a tangle and a crew member's gonna lose their finger. So Spectra will take your finger off like this, guys, so it's not worth it. Follow your lines. We're only stopping, 10, 15, 20 minutes. It's not hard, guys. Follow your lines. Very important. Spectra's expensive. And remember, guys, if you pile up Spectra this big, don't think our crew member's gonna be able to get that out. We got other stuff going on. If you're not following your line and you pile up Spectra this big, and you think we're gonna sit there and get that out for you, we'll do it on the move, but we're not gonna sit there in the middle. We'll stop to pick that out. It's not fair to other people. Especially with 18 people, guys. There should be very, very minimal tangles tonight with 18 people. So, any questions, guys? Heavy rod, good 2-speed reel, heavy Spectra, 300-gram jig, 200-pound fluoro. Any questions about this setup? Okay, this is going to be probably your most important setup. Let's go with, so we're going to have one heavy fish fly line tackle, big fish fly line. It's going to be 60 or 80 pound. You're going to fish a size 2.0 circle hook. This is a little small. This is a size 2. I would go one size bigger. So a size 2.0 Mutu hook, 60 or 80 pound fluoro. And same thing, guys, I'm fishing gear where I can land a 100-pound fish. So a 2-speed reel, 80-pound Spectra, and a heavy rod. Make sure you check your drags. You don't want your drags too tight. The fish is supposed to take line when you first hook it. Especially a big fish, they're gonna want to take line. And make sure you're changing your baits, guys. Really important. Same thing, you watch Julian, Tanner, and those guys fish. They're gonna change about 10 baits before they actually fish one bait. So if you put your bait in the water and it's not taking line off your reel, it's time to change. Even if you just put it back in the water, it's not gonna magically come back to life. So really important, guys, changing our baits. We're gonna have our small fish fly line. There hasn't been too much small fish out there. There is a little bit out there, but for the most part, they're all like 60 to 150 pound fish. But if I do see a school of small ones, I'll let you guys know and you can fish this setup right here. It's gonna be your standard 40 or 30 pound setup, 30 pound, 40 pound fluoro. This is gonna be a small hook, size 4 Mutu hook, size 2 Mutu hook, circle hook. And once again, I'll let you guys know when to use this setup. I'll say, okay, these ones look like smaller ones, then you can use this setup. But for the most part, it's been mostly bigger fish out there. And then we're gonna have our sinker rig setup. So same thing for my sinker rig. I'm fishing pretty much the same setup I had for nighttime. I got a good 2-speed reel, 100-pound Spectra, and I got 80-pound fluoro. My weight's gonna depend on how fast I'm drifting. Anywhere from 4 to 10 ounce weight. This is an 8-ounce weight. And bigger hook, size 3.0 circle hook. And you can do this either way, guys. You can do the rubber band rig, where I just rubber banded above my connection, or you can do the drop shot weight, where the weight's on the bottom. Either one works good. The drop shot weight is a good one because it doesn't spin on the way up. This one sometimes spins on the way up. So that's pretty much it. We got about 70 more miles to go, but just remember, guys, that fish spreads out from like Clemente to San Nicolas Island. So yesterday it was about 90 miles away. Today it could be a little bit closer. It could be a little bit farther. So it's a pretty big area where that fish has been going up and down. So just remember that. Any questions, guys?
What time do you think we'll start fishing?
We'll be there. We'll be there probably 6:30 in the zone, 6 o'clock. So we'll start looking around at 6 o'clock. Every day is different too, guys. Remember the wild animals. There's no like start fishing. We're gonna start looking at 6 o'clock. Sometimes we don't see a school till 2 in the morning. I've had it where I don't see a school till tomorrow. I don't think that's gonna happen. But just remember, guys, they're wild animals. There's not very many boats out there right now. It's supposed to be choppy. I think there's going to be 4 or 5 of us out there, and it's a pretty big area where that fish has been. So, and just remember, as fast as we don't see them, they can just appear too. Remember that. All right, Julian, go ahead.